on the show, on the website, that is, we have a little section that's called the mailbag, and we let you guys send in questions that we will answer on this exact show. We'll do our best to answer the question to the best of our ability. The questions are loaded by our producer before the show. I do not know what the questions are. I just look at them and I answer. First thing comes off the top of my head by clicking buttons like this. Here's our first question of the day. The way he played on the national championship game, is there a possibility that Alabama quarterback Mac Jones will be drafted higher than Justin Fields? The answer to that question has been asked a few times in the media. I'll tell you the real answer. People were like kind of pussyfooting around everything. The real answer is no, he won't. Mac Jones had a great championship game. He had a great season. There are some questions about a few things. First of all, he's loaded with talent. And I know Justin Fields has a lot of talent at Ohio State, but nobody in the college football history has had the talent that Alabama has had. That is a recruiting machine. They are absolutely fantastic. I do not believe that I got a lot of comments over here coming in. I do not believe that Mac Jones will be drafted ahead of Justin Fields, because Mac Jones is not the athlete that Justin Fields is. And in today's NFL, people want athletes. People want somebody that can actually run the ball. People want somebody that can actually add that extra element of mobility to the game. And I don't believe that Mac Jones can do that. He's an average athlete. In the NFL, he will be a statue. He will not move very much. He will move on occasion. He'll be a Ben Roethlisberger type who, runs for 5 or 6 yards and looks awkward doing it. So I don't think Mac Jones will be drafted higher than Justin Fields. I do think that Mac Jones has a higher floor than Justin Fields. I think Mac Jones has the ability to be an Andy Dalton or better and I think Justin Fields has the chance to be a Deshaun Watson or far, far worse. So I think there's kind of some play in there. So let's see what happens. But as far as I can tell right now, everything that I've seen, I don't believe Justin Fields goes any lower just because of his athletic ability. He's still a top 5 quarterback, even though he didn't have a great NCAA championship. With all the suspensions happening, would the NBA be better off returning to a bubble? We talked about this earlier. I do not believe the NBA has a better chance of being in a bubble than they do of being in the world they're in right now. Look, this is a reality that we live in. COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon. And even though there's vaccinations and people will have an opportunity to limit their exposure by taking these vaccinations, this doesn't mean that COVID's going away. It means that we need to go out and we need to be diligent and we need to take care of, wash our hands, wear a mask, stay 6 feet away from each other. It doesn't sound that hard. It is hard, obviously. So I don't want to play it off like it's not like it's a super easy thing to do. It is hard to do, but for these NBA players, it's unfortunate for them. But you're going to have to just isolate yourself and not try to get the rest of your team sick. If you do, you will just have to forfeit games. So to me, I think the NBA is approaching this in kind of the wrong way. I would say, look, we have 72 games this year. The solution to this is very simple. If you get sick, if your team can't field the team, if your team gets to the point where we feel that letting you play could be a detriment to other players, then you will lose the game. So there is no suspending the game. There is no postponing the game. It's if it was your fault, if it was the fault of your organization, you will lose the game. And I know that would put a giant asterisk next to the season, but I think it's the only way to get people to stop doing what they're doing. It's the only way to get these NBA players to take it serious. If you do it, your team will lose. These guys who are competitors and they want to win, it may actually work. Last question coming out of our mailbag. Will snow affect the Baltimore Ravens' performance against the Bills in the divisional round? Look, I think if snow is going to affect anybody in the divisional round, I think it'll affect Buffalo. Now you can say, well, that's Buffalo's home turf. They're more used to it. Well, it's not like it's nice in Baltimore. It's not like you're getting sunny days in Baltimore in the middle of the winter. So that's a team that's actually built for cold weather. Cold weather teams tend to run better, especially cold weather teams that have some quickness to them. And cold weather teams that have a guy like a Gus Edwards, who's really just a bull. Like Gus Edwards is a snowplow for the Baltimore Ravens. So you can run some of your big backs up the middle. You got that quarterback that can make that one cut and go. And then you got Josh Allen, who's really turned into a guy who runs sometimes, but really prefers to throw the ball and does it really well. So it's hard to throw the ball in the snow. It's easier to run the ball in the snow. The Buffalo Bills are not very good at running the ball. The Baltimore Ravens are obviously, to me, the best running football team in the NFL. And at the very least, they're the best running football team left in the playoffs. So I think we could be on a collision course right now for Baltimore and Kansas City. I think it could be headed that way, which is where a lot of us thought it would be before the season started. And in a strange way, we're going to probably end up there again. But I think Baltimore is going to have a much better time in the snow than we're going to have, than Buffalo's going to have. So I have one last thing I want to talk about today before we end the show, and I know we've gone a bit long, but I want to let you guys know something that we're planning over at What's on Sports. And it's a brand new promotion that we will be engaging with our audience in a completely new, different way. So we're going to be doing something called the $2 Sports Club. And inside the $2 Sports Club, we're going to be charging, of course, $2 to be a membership, to be a part of this membership. And you'll be able to read some of our in-depth articles that you can't read in the public, but there'll be a lot more stuff involved in it. So what we're doing is for the $2 Sports Club, we're actually putting together a list of things that we'll be able to give our memberships. So anyone that joins our membership and becomes a VIP member for $2 a month will get access to really cool interviews that we have set up. So over the next couple of weeks, I've got interviews set up with Jonathan Coachman, who used to be the coach for the WWE and then worked for ESPN. I've got an in-depth interview with Michael Francesi, who used to be a mafia boss, who is now like a retired mafia boss, but the mafia was really involved in sports gambling for a while. Michael's extremely knowledgeable about the topic. We're going to bring him on to talk strictly sports gambling, and of course, we'll dive into a few mafia topics as well. And then I've got Ryan Clark from ESPN also scheduled to be a part of the show. And what we'll do is all these interviews will be part of the member section. And what makes it really cool is you won't just be able to see the interviews, you'll be able to interact with them. So we'll tell you when the interview is going to happen live. You'll be able to join us inside the chat room and ask these guys questions. So it'll be your opportunity to actually come on the show and ask these guys questions that no one else has ever thought to ask them. So whoever has the best questions will actually let you on the show, and you'll get to be a part of it. We're also going to be doing some really cool stuff. The whole thing is sponsored by our friends over at BetUS. We'll be using BetUS with a brand new promotion that no one's ever seen before. It's going to be a $25 free play for all of our members. You'll get an opportunity for only $2 to get a BetUS $25 free play. There'll be no obligation required. You'll go over, they'll give you $25 that you can gamble with, and you can try to win money with BetUS just by joining our little program for $2 a month. One last value will be added, and this is probably the best value out of the whole thing. Off the What's on Sports store, which will be launching this week, there'll be a ton of cool products in there on the What's on Sports store. And if you were to join our $2 club, you'll be getting discounts off of everything inside the store, as well as everything off of our third-party product list. And I've been dealing with a ton of vendors, talking to people. The whole staff has been out doing outreach to vendors to find the best deals possible, deals you can't find anywhere else on the internet, all deals that really focus towards the kind of sports people that we have out there. So you guys will have an opportunity to get all these things at an incredible discount for just joining the club for $2. So guys, this is going to be great. The whole thing should be launched in 2 weeks. So by the end of January, we'll be rocking and ready to go. I look forward to you guys being part of the $2 Sports Club. It's going to be huge. More details will be launched in the next few weeks. So stick around and keep listening to the show. My name is John Tenora. I've been your host today on the What's on Sports podcast. It's been our pleasure to have you. Real quick, I want to remind you, don't forget to go over to our website, which is whatsonsports.com. Check out what's going on there. Go over to our sponsor, which is sportstradingsystems.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll see you again Friday, 10:30 a.m. Touchdown!